Hi guys, this is the UnComfy Couch, episode 5. We watched The Office Space, which falls under The Quest.
Yeah, so Office Space is basically a movie about a guy in a dead-end job who hates everything. Every day is the worst day of his life, and then thanks to an unfortunate accident with a hypnotist, he becomes entranced into just doing whatever makes him happy, which includes sort of giving up and then deciding to make a bunch of money off of the company that he hates.
I guess we can touch on like a few movie topics like throughout, so I don't know if y'all thought about it, but one I wondered was maybe the stapler, because that's why the fire started, I think, was like he took a stapler, was like, I could set fire to this building. So that might be weak, but I like that. Did y'all have any other ones?
Threads?
Mm-hmm.
No, not really. I kind of like, I thought about like the flare, like the badges.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for like maybe like different signs in there that was sort of like that, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the closest I got. That would be like a catalyst to move things on. So definitely caused it. Like also solved the issue of how are they going to get out. It was ex machina. Is that how you say it? Like how are they going to get out of the issue of stealing $305,000?
Yeah.
Well, the building burned down, which really was a plot fault to me because I still think they'd get in trouble. There'd still be records of that money being stolen.
Granted, that was made, like the film was made in what, 99?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like it's not on the computer at all.
It's like
somewhere.
I guess there's like not.
Or was there like no internet? Wait, they didn't have internet.
Did they have internet?
No, they had the internet like all the way to like the late 70s. But yeah.
Dr.
It was like
gonna laugh. I just thought just because like they burned literally the paper trail of where the money went, I still thought there would be a way that they'd be like, oh, this is where the money went.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was born in 1996, so I can't speak to that.
It's kind of just like a plot hole, I guess.
Did y'all find fault with that though?
I thought it was a cop-out conclusion.
Yeah, I agree.
I felt like the whole movie was a cop-out.
Really? What do you mean?
I just for one, like cinematography, I felt like it was just sloppy.
Okay, I didn't really pay attention to that.
Everything was so sloppy, like the audio was so sloppy, like I felt like some guy with a piece of crap, camera could have like made this entire film with just like a trace of a thought in his mind of like, oh, let's just do some funny scenes
was
in the
that
office.
because it was though the 80s? Wait, was this the 80s?
It's 90s.
90s. Was that though just because it was? I mean, then again, Apocalypse Now was really.
Yeah, I mean, like look at movies. Yeah, made in the 70s,
a cheap
80s.
90s movie though.
It it gave me hope that like our film for Dr. Hammer would be okay.
I think my expectations were low in the beginning because I read it on iTunes and it said recommendations and it was like it was a lot of famous 80 comedies like Groundhog Day, which I mean they're good movies but they're not great quality, so I was like, oh, it's just gonna be another like Caddyshack or something,
right?
Yeah.
Which I mean if you've seen those, it was just more for like laugh factor.
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now. Something I did notice though, so I remember the friend who's like thinks he's a gangster, the white guy.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I don't know what the commentary was on him, but he was kind of portrayed as a wuss, I guess you could say, because like he's rapping in the beginning, but then the black guy walks by and he locks his car, but then he's always complaining about like his life's so boring, and he has posters of Navy SEALs all around him, and I'm like, what? Like just do something more. He's trying so hard. Yeah, like I got the feeling he was just a wuss though, like in a white collar job.
Yeah, he had like.
Because he had it in his house, a SEAL poster behind him. He had it in his office, a SEAL poster.
And like posters of rappers and stuff like that. And it just made me kind of think like, like the whole commentary on like, oh, my name's Michael Bolton or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he just sort of blamed his whole life on the fact that his name was Michael Bolton, which is funny because like he's a white guy blaming his life on his name. And then you had that like juxtaposed with like the other guy who like, his name couldn't pronounce. And so I thought like there was actually a lot of commentary on race throughout this film. It was like subtle, but
I think it's just also a commentary on like the new generation coming in. So like the people like the Michael. It wasn't Bolton.
It was.
But I felt like they pronounced his name differently or something.
Oh no, that was his straight up name. Was Michael Bolton.
So like. like him, he was like 24 or like 26 or something, they said, and like all the people are like, you know, younger coming to these jobs, and I think like, so like back to the whole thing where he said like, what would you do with $1 million? And he said, you know, I do nothing. And like the other people, like when they get the money, they still don't know what to do. They're like, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore. I think it's just like kind of a social commentary on the fact that like the people of that new generation, like so back then, like an equivalent of like us being the 90s kids that don't want to do anything. So like that generation was being portrayed as like, oh, they're just lazy. They don't have aspirations. Like they basically get into a dead-end job, having like a somewhat dream, and then when they get there, they're just like, get complacent.
That's funny because I thought it was more like you were saying the movie was painting kind of them in a bad image, and I thought it was more the opposite and like painting the American corporation a bad image of being like, this is just America, you know, like we need to break this box of corporate America and thinking we have to go to a 9-to-5 job to be happy.
Yeah.
And saw the other guy as a hero for being like, oh, I can find happiness working a construction job, which I was kind of confused on. I don't know if he was going to be happy in that. If that was going to wear off.
Again, back to the whole just like sloppy resolutions.
Yeah, I couldn't really
They
tell
just kind of put it
where that was
together.
going.
I feel like that relates. You could argue it was a commentary on capitalism because the guy at the top, like he comes in with his Porsche, he does nothing with like his coffee every day, and then takes advantage of all these people working for him. Like, hey, can you come in on Saturday?
Also, the fact that they portrayed him as like just a guy who didn't know what he was doing, I kind of got the feeling like he never said anything of substance.
Yeah.
Which
It was
What's
like
happening?
he was just like, well, yeah, like what? Why did you
opposite
get
of
that
the
job?
American dream. Like instead of like the American dream being like, oh, you can work your way
Yeah.
up and all that sort of stuff, it was more like
the
just
rat race.
reverse. Yeah, like
I kind of took it as like a warning message of, because I mean, we're all terrified of doing the 9-to-5 job of working in a cubicle and going postal. And I think it was kind of just saying like, you can find happiness outside of that.
I feel like 9 to 5 sounds like a low amount of hours these days.
yeah, people like work like 8 to 6 now. I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also, like Dr. Hammer mentioned earlier, that there's nothing new under the sun, which relates back to this movie because he just was doing the same thing every stinking day, and he did not go to college to do that, probably.
Yeah, it really depressed me. Did y'all think of it as a comedy? I mean, was it
I mean,
a comedy?
I mean, like the people were talking like in class, they're like, oh,
It
we thought it was
advertised
funny.
itself as a comedy,
Yeah.
I think.
Satirical.
Some people thought, or like in class, they're like, oh, like yeah, I thought it was funny. I don't know. I sat on the couch and didn't laugh.
And again, I think it was a lot like Groundhog Day. If you haven't seen it, like it's just, I don't
The
know.
Groundhog Day is like actually pretty decent. I thought. Like I just felt like this movie kind of was lackluster.
yeah.
But like, and then like at the same time, I felt like Milton, the guy with the thick glasses with the stapler, like I really don't know how he moved the plot along. I mean, I guess like you could say like, oh, he's the guy who really it's been pushed around. He's kind of like the corporate America, or it's just pushing him around until finally he snaps, and like maybe I can just portray like, oh, like you can get out of the situation almost. But
Yeah.
still, I just felt like he was kind of thrown in there
I
as
also
like
thought
a
he was
side
maybe
piece.
like a comic relief also though, just the weird character that makes you laugh.
Yeah.
I thought he had a place like, I would like label him as like the contagonist, which is like the person that doesn't like really have a side in the story, but just exists to kind of like throw a wrench into everything, or like he just is, and that has an impact on it. And so like because of his separate storyline, he ended up like kind of throwing a wrench into everything, and then ending up like helping them with burning down the building, I guess.
Oh, he helped them? I thought.
Well,
He is
not,
the one who, yeah, he helped him
Oh,
get
he
out of
helped
the
him
by
with
burning
that.
down the
yeah, he
building.
didn't mean to. Yeah.
Also, why did you like never see the boss when that happened? I thought that was strange. Like you see the building on fire and you see all the workers, but you never see like the two Bobs, is that what they were called, or the boss? Like,
Yeah,
you never see any reaction from him, which is just kind of interesting
that
to
is
me.
interesting.
Also, how did Milton get on the island in the end?
Oh well, that's just the money.
Did he just get money from like
I-
compensation from the building burning
No,
down?
he,
I was really
he opened the
confused.
envelope because they put the envelope underneath the door.
He took the.
Yeah, and so he took the envelope with the money in it.
Oh, I missed
That makes more sense
I
now.
just-
doesn't
And that
it?
was a traveler's check.
That's what?
He was like, I'll take my traveler's check to a competing race.
Yeah, yeah. So like he basically had the $370,000 that they put underneath the door.
I just thought he like didn't even notice it because like I never saw him pick it up. I did see the envelope. Another like kind of, I guess the only issue I had with this movie was cinematography and kind of like the holes in the plot. Another one was I was expecting the whole hypnotist thing to come back like to conclude, and it never did. So did he ever snap out? Like did
someone to snap and him be like,
yeah, or did it wear off because he started to become not so happy during the movie? So I was just like, maybe he's normal again.
I don't know.
That one kind of was just an unresolved like plot, I thought. I would say for enjoyment value, higher than like for great film techniques, probably a 7 out of 10.
I give it a 6. It was like enjoyable. The plot had some holes.
Yeah, I give it 6 out of 10 too. Probably I don't know. I didn't fully understand the quest archetype. I think that's what got me.
Yeah. Like for the quest archetype, like didn't think it really like met that. But mainly just the fact that it did speak to like how jobs can be mundane and how, you can have all these dreams and they just get shattered as like you kind of get stagnant, stuck in this like job. So like it kind of had a story. I just really did not like it though. I felt like it was poorly made and just poorly thought out. So I'll give it like a 2 out of 10. Yeah.
It's not like Maggie's movies.
Okay, bye.
Hey, this is Sean from the UnComfy Couch coming in a little bit later, and today we're doing the review of Office Space, which follows the archetype of the quest. I felt like this movie did a really good job of leading up to this archetype. I am a little bit confused on terms of what's defined as good foreshadowing and bad foreshadowing. But from my personal take of what foreshadowing is, I think it did a pretty solid job. You could kind of tell at the beginning how it was going to revolve around Samir, Peter, and Michael Bolton all coming together to kind of get back at this company. The film did a really good job of expressing their discontent in the beginning and sort of what the arc of the characters sort of really climaxed into them getting back at this company and like there being a reason for this quest. Now, in terms of good aspects of the movie and bad aspects, obviously the foreshadowing I thought was pretty good. The characters arced pretty well. Specifically Peter, we see him go from being really discontent with his job to, while there was this like magic wand of like, hey, now he's like this fully developed character, the film doesn't really stop it at there. They continue to develop him out as we see that even after feeling like in control of himself, he's still very much insecure about the waitress being with the Lumberg. But still, in the end, he manages to do the right thing and, picks a job that he's a lot more content with, even though on, like, as us, the viewer, we'd see, like, oh, working in construction isn't that great. Now, in terms of resolution, I thought, I don't know, I think this may come more with more just like the plot of the movie, but what I saw as a problem was it just kind of found it odd that Lumberg just happened to not be in his office at the end. And everything happens with a purpose in film, but I couldn't really see the purpose. I felt like it was a kind of almost like lazy editing or lazy writing. Now, in terms of social commentary, there's the very broad overall, like, oh, you need to do something great with your life or something you enjoy with your life. And that's pretty evident. I think they really hammer that in very subtly at the beginning of the movie, where we can see Peter just being like really dulled out with his job. and you hear the lady saying, "Just a moment, just a moment, just a moment," and then like the clock is ticking and ticking and ticking, and we can sort of see how he's literally watching his moments pass by and pass by and pass by. Um, I'm almost curious if there's a deeper social commentary to it. You know, I feel like Lumberg, and then the consultants had to have played like a deeper role that I'm just not getting. But I would love to hear others' explanation about this in class. And what else? I think that's the main thing I had to discuss. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it, I don't know, like 8 staplers out of 10. It was a very comical movie. Cinematography was it fit up to par. It wasn't like overzealous, but it wasn't like cutting us short either. Writing was pretty solid. Saved the ending a little bit. Foreshadowing was really great. We could kind of tell what was almost, again, this kind of goes into what your definition of foreshadowing is, but you could kind of tell that he was a really squirrely guy who was gonna do something to like save the day. But I still thought it was great overall. So yeah, thanks.